In my presentation, I want to give you an engineering perspective of the role of energy in sustainable community development, and also want to illustrate my opinion with several examples of projects that were conducted through Engineers Without Borders, projects that I'm quite familiar with. Can I have the next slide? It's clear that energy is central to sustainable development and to poverty reduction. Without energy, we cannot address the UN Millennium Development Goals. Energy creates jobs, energy brings children to school, it provides heating and cooling, it provides better health to the world, it provides telecommunication, more days at work and school. Yet, many people in the developing world lack access to modern energy sources and essentially rely on biomass, sources that are less efficient than modern sources and then often lead to health problems. To give you an idea, 1.5 million people die every year due to inhalation of smoke. Other statistics, 1.6 billion people in the world do not have access to electricity, 2.2 billion people in the world do not have access to water, 39,000 children die every day for reasons that are purely preventable. To me, it is a crime against humanity, knowing that at the same time, we, people on this planet, are allowing a spending of $41,000 a second on weapons all over the planet. So, next slide, please. How did I get involved in this kind of work? It started for me in a small village in Belize in 2000. 250 people living, Mayan Indians, living in that small village, making less than $1 a day, essentially. Could not afford any fuel. And the way it was presented to me in that small village in Belize was the little girl on the left side, there, bottom left. That little girl could not go to school. Her job was to schlep water back and forth from the river to the village every day of the year. And I can tell you that there are millions and millions of little girls in the world today who do exactly that kind of work. It was presented to me, do something about it. You are a civil engineer, come up with a solution. I said, no problem, I'm going to give them a pump. And quickly realized that in the middle of the jungle, there's no electricity. And also at the middle of the jungle, people could not afford fuel, or gasoline or diesel or whatsoever. So I had to come up with a solution that was essentially not conventional. I went to my old-timers on campus and asked them, what can I do? They say, well, do you have a source of potential energy? I said, yes. We have a waterfall 7 feet, about half a mile upstream from where that little girl is located. Can you convert that potential energy? Yes. We came up with a technology that was 200 years old called a ramp pump. And with the students, we designed a ramp pump. And we were able, with 7 feet of water fall, we were able to push the water 120 feet. Cost of this entire project, $14,000, not $14 million, $14,000 there, and that included the airfare of 12 people to come along with me. That was essentially the start of Engineers Without Borders. Next slide. That was essentially the start of Engineers Without Borders. And Engineers Without Borders today in the United States has 12,000 members. We are working in 48 different countries. And most of our projects, hold it, no, okay, no, need one before. Going too fast for me. Most of our projects are small scale, essentially. The average cost of a project is about $25,000. And many of those projects obviously deal with energy. I want to share with you the world at night. Obviously, just want to make the statement, it is the world at night all at once. It doesn't happen in the real world, right? And that world is never at night like that, just in case you think it is like that at one time of the day. It is not. This is a combined picture of the world at night, essentially. And what does it show? It shows that a lot of people there have electricity, have energy. We can see all those lighted areas in the world. In fact, I should say they may have too much energy. And then at the bottom, you have the dark side. In fact, you cannot even see it, where the people don't have enough. Interestingly enough, if you look at the small communities around the world that are in the darker side of this map there, they don't need much energy. Most poor communities use maybe 50 watts to 100 watts a day. And a conclusion that I'm going to reach in about 10 minutes is that we have the means and the know-how to provide the developing world practical and sustainable energy solutions that satisfy those needs. There's no doubt about it. In fact, let me go point blank. If all problems in the world were technical, we would have solved them by now. We have the technical solutions to solve the world problems. The reason it's not happening has nothing to do with technology. I can take any community in the world, and I will show you some examples in the world in a few minutes there, at the middle of Africa, and I can design for a small amount of money, less than $50,000, an entire system that works, that satisfies the needs of the community, that is long-lasting, as long as, obviously, I don't just dump some energy into some technology into the community, but also train people how to use it, how to fix it, and how to create jobs out of it. That's the big picture, and that requires a different mindset. The use of energy that we see here in the developed world is driven by a production-consumption model. And unless we address that production-consumption model, then we cannot address the problems on our planet. That production-consumption model is the root cause of many of our problems, and it needs to change. Don't change that. You can bring as many wind turbines as you want in the world, how many solar panels in the world, how many water filtration systems in the world, it won't happen. How is it based? Here's a little bit of animation. It's based essentially on two sources of energy, two pools of resources, non-renewable resources, renewable resources. Next, what do? We do some extraction and harvesting. Could be extraction of coal, iron, or whatever or oil, or gas. Next, we start harvesting some stuff from the renewable pool. Next, we start harvesting some stuff from the non-renewable pool. Next, that's when we get into trouble. First step into the trouble where we start mixing up the two pools of resources. Next, there's some stuff that is not economically retrievable with today's technology, which may be retrievable 40, 50 years from now. We need to be aware of that. Next. Then we do some processing, transportation, consumption. We dump some waste. Next. Lots of waste. Next. Little recovery. Next. Stuff that we cannot control. Some of it is intentional discharge. Some of that is unintentional discharge. Next. We developed that we damage the environment, and that red zone is increasing very rapidly on our planet. Next. We have to be careful not to exceed the carrying capacity. Next. There's an infrastructure. Next. And there's a social structure in place. Short of addressing this production-consumption model, my friends, I don't think we can do anything at all. We need to address the root cause, the illness there behind this, what's driving the economy today. Next. Built environment, I'm a civil engineer. If you look at buildings, 37% of all energy is used by buildings, 68% of all electricity. Next. So Engineers Without Borders, let me show you a few projects of work that I have done and students have done as well. We have about 350 chapters across the United States. And also, there's Engineers Without Borders International that was started in 2002 that is represented in 44 different countries. Again, 12,000 members. Most of our members are engineers, professional engineers, and student engineers working on 390 projects in 48 countries. Next. At the core of our work is the field of appropriate and sustainable technology, and here I'm quoting Schumacher, find out what people do and help them do it better. Essentially, it's the essence behind the design that we are using for the developing world. Believe me, in any country in the world, there is talent. In any country in the world, there are people who may not have a BS degree or a PhD or a master's degree who are more intelligent than some of my colleagues at the University of Colorado when it comes to do some real work and addressing some real problems. So we need to capitalize on that talent and work with that local talent. So this is the field of appropriate and sustainable technology. What is it? It is local, it is owned by the people, it is understood by the people, it can be fixed by the people, and ultimately it creates jobs. Next. Here's some example of projects that I have done, and I will give you an estimate of the cost of each project. This is a small solar water pumping system at the middle of the Sahara in Mauritania, 18 hours north of Nouakchott. Total cost of the project, $9,000, and essentially pumping close to 500 gallons of water per hour at the middle of the Sahara. As a result, the community has changed completely. Another project that is in Rwanda, essentially with 4 or 5 solar panels, enough essentially energy to essentially provide electricity to a clinic where the American doctor is able to do some surgery. Total cost of this project, $9,000.